City of Stevens Point Tourism Commission meeting, recorded May 8, 2025.
Call the May 8th, 2025 Tourism Commission meeting. Roll shows everybody's here. Number 2, approval of the March 27th, 25 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 3, grant guidelines updates for future grant cycles. So I guess what we're looking, we've made some progress in the meeting, but I guess where do we want to go from this? Do we come up with criteria? Met with the Convention Visitors Bureau.
Yep.
What is there?
So we had our Convention Visitors Bureau meeting a couple weeks ago and discussed our questions to the CVB, and they agreed that maybe the next step is to have a conversation maybe have a working group between the CVB and our commission,
Okay.
and talk about how we might structure something where we can work together for with regard to conferences specifically.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When we look at the splits of all of the city gets this, and I don't know that we're playing on equal footing with other cities when it comes to conventions. When we're dealing with it's not a level playing field. When we're dealing with the Dells, probably Appleton, Green Bay, I would probably bet, and I can't say for sure, but I would probably bet that their city is not taking out 40% of what our room tax money is. Those Convention Visitors Bureau are bigger, collect a lot more money, but they're not taking a big whack out of it from the city. The city gets, what is it, 34%?
30%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know we can look at that and match up with them. And secondly, who's making the request? Who's asking for this? Is the CVB coming to us and asking for this? Who's doing it?
No.
Well, who's doing it?
No, it was just something that we had brought up here.
When we went through our...
But aren't we real clear that when we give out grants, we need an application? Are we going to eliminate that?
No.
And why are we going to the... I'm still open on this. I'm just bringing up, playing the devil's advocate. If we need more money for conventions to get them here, maybe what the CVB's first step should be is going back to the city and saying we can't operate. We're losing conventions. Our committee gets 23%. There's some big things coming up in Stevens Point that we work on. My fear is that, number one, we're going to get ourselves in a bidding war. So we use the snowmobile organization as an example. They get 10 grand from wherever. We say we'll give you 15, and then the competing city says we'll give you 20. So are we?
I think we're losing these groups to these other communities, and
how many do we lose?
Yeah, what's...
And how much? And how much?
Number one, I want to address. I believe this was brought up because we had given money to Redcom.
Yep.
That's why this all got brought up.
But we also was that the
Marshall Clinic.
we also said we're not setting precedent here.
Correct.
No, but we decided we were going to go back and discuss it and see if this is something we should be doing, because it was brought up that we are losing conventions.
Well, how much money do you think every year we're going to take out of our funds to do that? $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000?
So I think it depends on what plan we come up with, and that's what we're here to talk about, to come up with a plan, and we can put a cap on it. But the first thing I want to bring up is 25's projections. I would say move back to 24 due to the economy turn down.
All right.
Okay? So just with what, first quarter? Large hotel was ahead of same time last year. Small hotel was not, but it had a competitor open up, Home 2. So, but now with the economy turned down, I think that we should in our minds, go back to our 24 numbers instead of going up, almost.
That makes sense.
So are we then talking about subsidizing private business? In essence, we are.
Well, I don't know that we've made any decision yet.
No, I'm just saying, are we talking about subsidizing private businesses?
Well, they're not.
For-profit businesses?
Correct. So associations, Model Railroad has a convention at my hotel. It's open to the public every year. They make money, but they put 95% of it back into the community here.
Well, how much is that? Do they put heads in beds?
Yes, they do.
How many?
Under about 100.
Okay.
Okay, but the money comes right back here that they do make. The Historical Society, I believe, got a very nice check. There are different organizations that are in our community that get the check. Then you have ones that, snowmobilers. They make money, but they use that money to fund their next convention.
But they still
And
make
for payroll.
$40,000.
Correct. To start for your deposits for the next year. Okay, so snowmobilers. They were here before I got here 14 years ago. They were at the old Holiday Inn and then moved to the one on 10. And then they left. They were persuaded by another community to go there. Thank goodness they're coming back this year without having to.
So what's your,
Should we not then, if we're going to have this discussion, should we not be discussing with owners of hotels that if we're kicking in and the CVB is going to kick in, maybe they should kick in? It's a three-way street here, and maybe we shouldn't be including Corey and the mayor at the city to say, look, the CVB, according to at the end of this year, they'll have gotten about $597,000. Can't perform as a convention and visitors bureau because we don't have enough money. Because that really used to be their job.
That is still their job.
That
I
is
mean, they
still their
still
job.
do it.
Where
They don't provide dollars directly to conventions to entice them to come, but they do have a staff person who goes out and
why don't they?
They have
Yeah, I
one
guess that-
salesperson.
yeah.
Why
That
don't
would
they?
be my question too, why don't they?
And I think that's part of maybe having that discussion with them, is
Because-
that something that they would be interested in doing?
Yeah, because when we were set up, the Tourism Commission through the city, we were the Tourism Commission and the Convention and Visitors Bureau was the tourism and convention, conventions and tourism, everything. So our main objective was to bring people to town for public events and blah, blah, blah. One of their main objectives is to do that, plus bring conventions to town. And they used to have that fund where they gave grants out. That lasted about a year or two, and then COVID happened. But since then, I look back, I had Corey run some numbers. The numbers have gone up quite well for them. They're about a 45% increase since 2016 when this started, about 180 grand. So I know they lost some when they lost Plover. But this last year, the last couple of years, they're about 90,000 more. And I know they've done other financing and stuff. I'm just surprised them, and I shouldn't speak for them as a bureau, but I was on the bureau for a long time, that they haven't seen this coming and started to figure out how to do a grant program to keep, if that's what it's turning into, CVBs are paying for conventions.
Well, it's been that way for a long time, for 30 years that I've been.
But this is the first time I've heard it becoming more and more like common. So at some point, they may have to shift their focus on how they do things too. And like I said last time, maybe they have some skin in the game too. Instead of coming to us, when we get the smallest percentage of the money of this room tax comes to us.
But they're not coming to us and asking us
They
to
didn't
do
come
this.
this was our conversation.
Well, then I
they
would
didn't
say
come to
if we
us.
want
We
to do.
almost went to them.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that having a small group, having a conversation about this and about maybe this is something that they want to do and put it into their budget for coming years. Megan is new, so this is something that she might prioritize, but until we have a discussion with them, I don't know that we
Are
can
they
speculate.
willing? Now, they're a separate organization. They're not governed by the city, below the city pays them.
Right.
They're an independent organization. Are they willing to open their books up? Are they willing to show us what
I
their
think
expenses are?
I think
It's
Are they-
public,
I think it's public.
because
I
they're.
don't think it is. I don't think it is. I don't think to this date it's been public as to what they got paid for that, for their building.
Anyway, so I guess what we're looking to do here is come up with some criteria. I mean, are we all on board that we want to at least explore this?
I'm on board if we want to explore this, if we get more people in the mix, not just us.
Right, no, well,
The CVB, I think a representative from the city should be here. We have representatives from the hotels. I really do. I think that this is something the city needs to be involved in. I mean, we're taking our smallest piece of the pie and cutting back more.
well, I guess,
Yeah.
So why can't we expand it? Why can't we invite other people to join our little committee and see if they want to partake? I got a feeling the city's going to say, no, I ain't going to do that.
okay. So it was brought up to form a small working committee since because of quorum rules, we all can't get together.
Right.
So I think it would be wise if maybe 2 people in this committee can meet with them. Do I have volunteers, 2 people?
I'm happy to.
Mike, I think you have the most questions.
I
I
would
think
be.
you
Yeah,
should.
maybe that's true. Maybe I should.
No.
'Cause I'm,
Is it
No, you're
conflict?
fine.
I could
Okay.
meet.
I just think Mike
Well-
has the,
I also talk about, and I have to mention this, is it a conflict of interest? Is it a conflict of interest for the representatives from the hotel industry to vote on us, to vote for this? I mean, I'm looking at the legal end of things. I mean, and I use this as an example, when we bring softball association business in front of us, I don't vote.
I didn't vote when.
I
it
know
was
that,
read
I know
from.
that. So
That's why I said maybe you should be the one
On the committee?
Yeah.
that you two do that.
I'd be
I can do
happy
it.
to. There's a lot of
Isn't that
questions
what it
that
said? Yeah.
I need answered. But again, we have to,
I guess what I'm looking for is probably 2 people to come, to meet with them and work some ideas out to see if they're on board and want to pursue this.
I guess I'd be willing to, but I hope it's more confusing now. It's almost we're going to them now saying, we want to work with you and give you money. We haven't decided yet as a board, how much do we want to give?
Well, I don't
I
think-
don't want to give the impression we're going to meet with them and they're going to get $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, because I'm not up for that. I can
No.
tell you right now.
Well, I don't think we're talking, I mean, I guess my thought was somewhere in the $20,000 range. We'll start out with that.
I think you're about 10 times higher than I want to start at.
Oh,
That'd be higher than me, too.
okay.
I don't want to lock us up for 20 grand. Again, if we say, if we were to meet, and again, we have to discuss it, we'll chip in this much, the city's going to chip in this much, and the hotel people are going to chip in this much.
The CVB.
CVB. Well, us, CVB, and even a representative from the hotel. I'm afraid to get into the for-profit grants to for-profit organizations. And we made a huge mistake when we did that one for the,
Good.
a huge mistake. But again, I think if we look at our notes, it's going to say, we said that was not a precedent-setting.
Correct.
well, and I just go back to what is our purpose? And our purpose is to bring more people.
Heads and beds.
Yep.
Well,
It's
but
not
it's-
for the
that-
community.
Conferences.
But it's also
Beds.
heads and beds that are open to the public.
Of course.
And that was our kind of, with Marshfield, it's not open to the public, it's a private convention.
Correct.
When the Tavern League comes, it's not open to the public.
No.
And I don't
Most
know-
conventions aren't open to the public.
So let's, with
But it does
that,
bring the heads and beds.
so why don't we come up with some criteria? Who we want, again, we're bringing municipal groups and they're not paying tax for rooms, so
They should be out because they're not paying taxes on the rooms.
somebody, or,
I had written last time, we had new convention. I mean, it's got to be a new one.
okay.
X number of rooms would be required. I mean, we're not going to pay money to bring in 15 rooms. I mean,
Yeah.
No.
So, not, the tax exempt groups are not, they can't get funding through
Is this a one-time?
Well, just notes I had
Yeah.
written down, we limited it to X number of dollars, well, let's say it's 2,500 is ours and somebody else's 2,500, the CVB and the city's 2,500. It has to be cash, not in kind, so you couldn't have the CVB saying, well, our in-kind services cover the 2,500. It's cash, because that's what we're hearing they need, is cash, not in kind. That was just stuff I had jotted down. And if we did something and said, okay, annually we're going to set aside this amount of money annually. And mine was, I'll be honest, was like more like 2,500. I know that's too low for some and too high for others. And then I could see the CVB coming back to us with a report saying, here's a new convention, here's why we think they qualify, and here's what we're going to give. And if there is none that year, then our money just goes back into our general account, and then next year we just budget 2,500. It's not like it just keeps lapsing and there's this big
Right.
pool. It's either spent or it's not spent. And I guess I would much rather see them come back to us saying, here's how we rank and rated them, than us sitting here trying to rank what convention is.
Right.
I mean, that's not our job to do conventions. That's somebody else's job. And they would know what's a new one and what's not, and they'd have to be honest, saying this is a new convention. Because that's kind of what we talked about with Marshfield, was we looked at new conventions, not annual, because when we did the special events in the past, that's how Cultural Fest got started. That's how the YMCA had their triathlon. That special event fund started up funds to get them going. Once they got going,
On
we
their
didn't
own.
fund them
They were on
anymore,
their own.
because then it's a donation. And I remember specifically with Cultural Fest coming back after like the third year, and we said, no more. You guys are now profitable. And I remember the big arguments they had that they needed that money. Well, they were already making money, and they had a bank account and profit. And that worked well where we cut people off. So to me, it would be the same thing with a new convention. If we can bring one in and they come back. And I'm not part of running conventions anymore, and I never was, but I remember when we had the Wisconsin Park and Rec Convention here, it was the highest number ever. It's because our room rates were a little lower, and we're right in the center of the state.
It's exactly how we
So-
sell it.
So that, I mean, if you want to go to Appleton, you want to go to La Crosse, go ahead. You're going to lose delegates, so you might get paid 10 grand, but your numbers are going to go down and your profit's going to go down. Come to Stevens Point. Lower rates, center of the state. That's what we can sell, and maybe a little bit of a subsidy.
Yeah, and I think
Lower
that's what
rates
the
aren't
CVB
necessarily
is
there
selling when they
anymore.
go out and sell, I think
Right.
that's what they're
That's what we
doing.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I go on sales calls with the CBB every month.
I think it's kind of ironic, and this just happened to me a couple months ago. It's kind of ironic when someone said to me, who's involved in city government, said, if there's a pile of money somewhere, there is a politician or someone on a committee that's going to find a way to get their hands on it. Think of that. Just think of that.
All right.
Still goes back to the bottom line, though, bring in heads and beds. And the more we do that, the more the tax dollars go up, which means the more we can help our community as well.
I mean, I think this is I think it's worth giving it a shot. for
Yeah,
a
well,
year and
yeah.
see where we're at. And so, 2 volunteers.
I'd volunteer.
Right.
3 volunteers?
3? Well, we
We
got to be
can't- we
careful
can only
with the
do
quorum.
Yeah, you can only do 2.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
And it's an informal committee.
When?
okay. So you'll reach out to
yep. Yep, I will reach out and
report
arrange.
back to us.
Yep, sounds good.
And again, we're looking for matching funds. We're not looking to give them X amount of dollars. And
You interested?
Yeah, I'm interested.
Put Tom on it.
What?
Put Tom on it. I'm still traveling, and I know we're not going to be able to do Zoom meetings when we do this thing. So I would rather, to make sure that someone can be there all the time, I think Tom would be a good guy.
Tom and Carrie? Okay.
Okay. Is it okay if I communicate via email
Yes.
with all
Yes.
this? Okay. All right.
Because
Yep.
there's only 2 of us.
Yep, okay.
All right. I guess criteria, real quick, you had mentioned,
Yeah,
again, what we're looking for is new conventions. We're looking for non-government groups. Are we looking for a commitment of more than 1 year for them to come back a second year for that?
I think that's the best.
I mean, we're not just handing them some money and saying, you're coming 1 year, we're paying for it, we want you back next year. And we'll split it up, or is that how that's
Depends
done?
how it's all worked out.
yeah.
But, you know, having a criteria for, say, 250 room nights, this is just off the top of my head, this amount, 500 plus room nights, this amount, with a 3 to 5 year annual return for every, conventions book out, I mean, I'm booking for 2030.
What kind of numbers in your mind, when you talk about that, just for my own information, what kind of numbers are you thinking of for this committee to give a convention? Really, Michelle, what kind of numbers are you looking at to say we're going to give this much to a convention and this is, and I know it's something we discussed, but I know you have a figure in your head.
Yeah, but the figure was just you and I talking off the
What
top of
was
my
it?
head.
10, 15,
So honestly,
20 grand?
No, it was more 2,500 to the highest of 10 with a renewal. So, but mine did start at 2,500. When you and I just had a conversation though, making that up with the example that we did, I believe it was 5.
And that would make the difference.
With how many years, you know, you can only do it 2 years in a row or 3 years in a row, you know. You can't do it for the next 20 years,
Right.
but something to get heads and beds.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
So you and I are along the same lines almost, 2,500.
No, 2,500 per, so let's say
So
it had 250 room nights, 2,500. They had 500 room nights, 5,000 in my head.
Okay,
Because that's the larger it is, the more tax dollars you bring in.
right. But
So
I don't have a calculator, but keep in mind at 8% of
13.5, I know.
$13 per room?
No, the taxes are 13.55
percent room tax.
that a hotel charges.
That's what we charge?
Yeah, 13.55.
Okay. So, and then how much?
And our room averages are going up, all ADRs are going up.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just trying to
sports
figure out
weekends are high.
when we talk about making money and bring stuff in, if we give somebody $20,000, how many rooms do we have to rent to get that $20,000?
I'd have to do a
I
calculator.
mean, you're talking.
But
Lots.
I don't think it would ever go up to $20,000.
Right. But even at 5,000, I don't think you break even.
No, but then if you're looking at the other things they're doing in the community.
Correct. Okay, as long as we keep that.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, the average person who comes here just on a 2-night convention goes to a gas station once because of them driving and us
Right.
being in the middle of the state. So they fill up at home and come here. They fill up again.
Right.
I mean, that's just basics, every person. So in restaurants off-site, they're not,
Right.
conventions don't have breakfast, lunch, and dinners. It's usually breakfast and lunch, very seldomly dinners.
You always do.
One night a dinner. So they're going out in the community. The other people they bring with them are going shopping. There are a lot of other things. The walking that they do in the area. Yes, I know it's not spending money, but it's
know.
seeing our community. And then they come back for leisure.
Yeah.
Is there a way we can prove this quantitatively at the end, that it's helping, besides just the number of conferences and what we're giving out? Is there?
An ROI on it? Let me think about that.
There are figures you can
Right.
get to tell you what.
Well, like Tavern League.
Yeah.
Mike, when Tavern League comes here, do you remember the number of what they spend?
No, but I know that they told me they make about $45,000 each time they have a convention.
I don't think that's as true anymore with their salaries and everything going up, but
Well,
they used to
a
do the
week ago it
$2
was.
bills, and it used to be
Right.
larger than it is now. But they did the $2 bills, and that was so they could track it in the community. And not even
Right.
everybody does the $2 bills. But some of those do, and I believe the CVB has some of those numbers on stuff like that.
Yeah, you can get national stuff to tell you what it tourist spends in your town in a day.
Yeah.
All right, what do we want for a time frame? Do we want to try early June? Do we want to wait till after summer? I guess I hate to wait too long, but.
Yeah, I'm gone the very beginning of June. I can get something I'm sure we can get something arranged by mid-June, if that.
Well, I guess we wouldn't meet again until this
Right,
subcommittee
Right,
meets and
right.
says-
That's what
You
I
guys
guess
just
that's what I
tell
was
us.
thinking of, as
Yeah.
the subcommittee.
But I guess I don't want to push this down because before we know it's
No,
going to be fall and
true.
we're going to be redoing
I would say
this.
we could meet I would think we could meet in July.
Right.
Okay. Very well. Anything else? Any other comments? All right, very good. Look for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All right, thanks, everybody.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.